Hey friends, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. I'm really excited to get started crafting with you guys this year. 2026 has definitely started out with a bang for me. So I'm just going to get right into these crafts. I took Christmas down at home, and I think it was our anniversary, my husband had got me this ladder for my Christmas village. I'm going to post a picture here of it. And when I took the village down, I'm going to use it as a plant stand. So moving all my plants to the ladder really freed up a lot of space for adding some new decor to my dining room. And my dining room is mostly blue and white. And I had all these wooden spoons in my stash, so I'm going to give them a little makeover today. To begin with, I think I'm just going to paint all of them with DIY White Swan, and we're going to do some paint inlays. These are some little pieces I had left over from the Delft, I think it's called Delft Traditional. And this is in the blue one. And paint inlays, if you didn't know, are limited release. So once they sell out, they're no longer in manufacturing. And this one is out. But I do happen to have a couple of them still in stock if you want to grab them while you can. There's also a black and white one. So I'm going to get all these painted up, and then we will do the paint inlays. My brushes are dry. I only did one coat where I'm going to put the paint inlay, because we'll do the paint inlay into the second coat. This one, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but it's got a pretty little engraving on this side with a bird. So let's see, I do have a bird, but it didn't fit as well unless I do it this way. So I'm going to do this rose on this one on the back side. And if you've never used a paint inlay before, I recommend doing a small project like this until you get used to it. They're very easy, especially if you use the clay-based DIY paint. They do absolutely amazing. So I've put a coat of paint on. It's wet. And now I'm going to mist my inlay on the paint side. Before it's wet, you can easily tell which one is the paint side. The grid side's going to go up. Oops. And then I am just going to lay that where I want it in my wet paint. And I'm going to use my finger to make sure it's burnished down really well. And I will mist it again to activate that paint. And then I'm going to use a dry paper towel to dab off any excess, and also push it down in there really good again and lay it aside to dry. And I have another shape like that here. This one bled through a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do another coat of paint all over this one. I'm going to do another coat of paint and see if it bleeds through again. It's just a tiny bit, and it actually doesn't look bad. I'm going to go ahead and do the inlay. All right, let me see. I think the chicken will fit on there. Yeah. We'll just do him this way. All right, my paint is wet. Gonna mist my inlay on the paint side. Everything I'm doing in today's video is probably going to be for my dining room kitchen. I'm very excited about how it's turning out, and I think I'll even take the after pictures at home so you can see a little bit of that as well. Dab off the excess and push it down, and then put it aside to let it dry. Here's a spoon. let's see. We'll do the inlay on the back side too. I'm just doing them randomly all over these spoons. I'm going to tie them together with some, probably some lace, maybe a blue ribbon or something, and stick them in a little utensil crock that I have waiting at home. Let's see. What do we... Ooh, I like the tree. Okay, I'm going to get these other 3 done, and then we'll come back and I'll show y'all the reveal. Once the paint and inlays are dry, you can tell they turn back really light. To remove the backing, you just want to mist them again. I'm going to go ahead and do them all in one go here. And let them sit just a minute. After they have sat just a minute, you can easily peel them back. And the image has been transferred into your wet paint. Oh, that one turned out perfect. So a little bit of smearing right there. Paint and inlays are not a perfect process. So if you are a perfectionist, they might not be your favorite. But if you love to embrace that vintage look, that old time worn look, they are perfect. And these can be reused, but they can be used up to 3 times. I'm going to dry these with the heat gun. They do need to be sealed. So I'm going to get them really good and dry, and I'll probably just wait overnight and then seal everything in. For my next project, I just picked up this bird. I paid $1.99 for it. I'm not a super fan of the black, and like I said, I am redoing my dining room. So I'm going to paint him with DIY paint, and this is Hey Sailor. It's like a, I guess like a midnight blue type thing. I'm going to be using this color a lot in the next couple of projects. So I'm going to give him 2 coats, and I might even distress some of that black. I think that would be pretty to distress some of the black from underneath. I guess this is more of a navy. There's also bohemian blue that's, I think, a little bit darker. Okay, I did 2 coats on him and he's dry. And I'm going to do just some light distressing to see how it looks if some of that black shows. I really won't be able to tell how it looks until we dry him, because this paint, when it's wet, it's much darker than when it's dry, but I think it will look good. I'm just hitting these edges mostly, and I'll dry it and see where to come back and get a little bit more distressing on him. All right, he is dry, and I like the way he looks. I'm going to go ahead and use some Big Top to seal him up. And I was thinking, I don't know, I was thinking I might find a little floral transfer after the Big Top dries and is cured and stick that on there. So we'll see how he turns out. I like to pour my big top into something else, especially when I'm sealing over a dark color like this, because I don't want to get this blue in my big top container. Okay, my spoons are dry now, and I'm not going to wait, but I'm just going to very lightly seal these two while I got the big top out. And when you're sealing over paint inlays, they're not sealed yet, so they might smear. The best way to not have them smear if you're going to brush on a sealer is to do a lot on your brush and with a very light hand. Or you can just spray seal over them. So I'm just going to seal up those inlays and this DIY paint. Little birdie. For my next project, I have a couple of just random lids in my stash, metal lids. They're both vintage, and I don't know that I could sell them, but I have a basket wall collage in my dining room that I can just imagine these would be beautiful with. And I'm going to go ahead and paint them with the Hey Sailor and then either dry brush some white over it, but most likely distress to bring back these details. Look, that's got like a little primitive look. I thought about using my primitive mold and putting more on these, but I also like the simplicity of this one, and I think they're both going to look gorgeous painted in this Hey Sailor. I did 2 coats on these, and they're pretty much dry, and now I'm just going to come in with a baby wipe and distress these high spots. This is like the shape of a flower on this one, and this one has all these primitive, pretty things. So I want those to be noticed. And of course, distressing is a great way to do that. DIY paint is water soluble, so it's very easy to wet distress, which is so good, especially when it's really cold outside and you're working inside. You won't want to go outside, but you also don't need to deal with all that paint dust from sanding. So anytime I want to distress something, I love to use the DIY paint. And I also love distressing metal. All right, these are distressed and dried, and I'm going to give them one good coat of Big Top to seal them, and then I'll need to come up with a creative way to make these, to hang these. The last 2 projects today, I'm going to Decoupage, and I picked this up. I think I paid $2 for it. It's, let's see, it's Wilton Company. I think it's stainless steel. but it's got a little hole up here so it'll hang. And I thought we would treat it just kind of like a decor board. And it's got all this beautiful detail. And of course, I love the silver color and distressing, especially with the Hey Sailor. So I went through my scrap decoupage papers because I'm still trying to use what I have without opening anything new. And this is part of the Fine Arts, I think it's called Fine Arts Projects or something. It has a few hints of blue, but not totally. And I love the black background. So I'm going to decoupage this in here. Now, there is no lip or anything. Well, I guess there is right here. So I know I'm not going to be able to get this perfect. So I'm just going to push it down in here. And I'm going to take a wet brush and do the tear method to give it like an organic look to it. So I just have a wet paintbrush here. And I'm just going to go all the way around it with that wet brush. Trying to hold it in the same spot. And really saturating my paper pretty good. And then I am going to hold the part that I want to keep and pull the part that I am not worried about keeping. So that way I'm not tearing anything that I want to keep. All right, so see how we have a really organic looking tear there. Now, before I do this down, because that tear is going to be really hard, I am going to go ahead and paint the outside, just the outside, you know, rim with the Hey Sailor before I decoupage this down. Because that's a back background, I'm not worried about having white underneath. It's gonna pop either way because of that black background. Go ahead and do one coat on this handle. All right, I'm gonna let this dry and then I'm gonna decoupage that down. So because this is a black background, when I tore it, you see how you can see some white around the edges? I don't want to see that when I put it on this dark blue. I'm going to try just to go over it with some ink. Yeah, I think that will work. I'm just kind of inking the edges so I don't have that white. Yeah, that will work. See the difference? I'm ready to decoupage this down now. Let's see. Okay, this is going to be the top, so that's the direction that this needs to go. And I am using the Decoupage and Transfer Gel from Fusion. I'm out of this currently, but I do have some ordered. But you could also use Liquid Patina, Mod Podge, whatever your medium of choice is. This is going to be pretty easy. It's not very big, so I'm just going to get a good healthy coat down here. And I'm going to mist my paper so I don't have any wrinkles. And then I'm just going to lay it down and smooth out any air pockets or wrinkles with my brush while applying another coat over the top. This will also seal up the paint, but I do have to come back and finish another coat on that as well. So I'm going to let this dry. My other decoupage project is a piece of wood. This has been laying back there in my stash for a while. It stands up on its own. What is that? A 2x6 maybe? So it's a pretty good, substantial piece of wood. And it looks like I had a plan to decoupage on it at one time because I've already painted one side white. So I'm just going to go with that. And this is a teacup from one of Royce's exclusive papers that came in Sonnet's Maker's box. It's got that pretty blue, and I think it'll go perfect in my dining room. It wasn't quite big enough for this, so I had to actually cut a piece from the side so I can fill in a little bit of area up there. And then we're going to come back and I'll do some of that blue, maybe some gold, because we're going to do gold on that other. So I'm just going to get this down on this piece of wood. Uh-oh, that won't work. I don't want the handle cut off. There we go. And then I got to put a little more up here. Barely got enough. Overlapping a little bit there, but that's fine. All right, I'm gonna let these dry and we'll come back and finish them next. See you in a minute. Okay, my little wood block is dry. To finish it up, I'm gonna get off this excess decoupage paper by sanding in a downward motion. Okay, now that all that excess is off, I'm going to paint the sides of it with the Hay Sailor, the sides and the back. And then I think to finish it off, we'll stick with that gold and go around the edges with some gold. We'll see. So I want to cover all the white, but if I do get some where I don't want it, that's no problem either, because this has been sealed, and this is a water-based clay paint, so I can easily wipe off if I get some where I don't want it. These little shelf sitters with scrap wood are so easy to make, and you can sell them at craft fairs very easily. You can also do both sides, and that way it's a 2-for-1 at your craft fairs, and you can charge a little more for them that way. So I did 2 coats of blue, and I went around all the edges with the gold gilding, to make a little frame, and I feel like it needs just a little bit more, and I have this little transfer left from Home Sweet Home that says T. So I'm just going to put it right on top, and then I will seal it up with Big Top one more time, and then this one is done. Now let's go style all these at home and see how they look. See y'all there. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm teased y'all. I'm back. I had an idea for this little area right here, and this is from the Bell transfer book that's got all of these flourishes and embellishments. So I'm going to take maybe this one here and a couple of these corners and just really dress this thing up. I mean, why not? Once Christmas came down, I finally had the space to really see my dining room again. And instead of going out and buying something new, I turned what I already had and a few of these thrifted pieces into something to give it a fresh feel. These little makeovers just go to show you that you don't have to spend a lot of money or buy brand new to create a space you love. Sometimes it's just about moving things around, adding a little paint, and letting your home evolve with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm ending the video with a few photos of my refreshed dining room so you can really take it all in. It's not perfect, but it's home and it's vintage and cozy and uniquely ours. And if you're inspired to create your own thrifted makeovers, you can find most of the products I used at susieonthefarm.com and down below in the description. I'll see you all in the next video.